following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Yo, brother Trevor, man, after today's episode, all you'll be using to get into Canucks game is game time, okay? For real. Because Aquilini is never going to let you in the building after this one.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Oh, did Trevor lag out there? I think he froze. My name's Kyle Bowen. This is another episode of Locked On Canucks. It is what it is. Technical difficulties.
Vancouver.
Oh, I think we're lagging. I think Aquilini just shut down this stream. I think that's what happened. Trevor's lagging big time. I think it's Trevor. I don't think it's me. But yeah, Aquilini did you just see what just happened there? You can't make that up. That's why this episode was always going to be dangerous. Okay, welcome to Locked On Canucks. One love to the Don't Doze Art Lab, a rehearsal space right now, and one love to Shally Ray Hall and YVR Sounds. But yeah, this is a shot at Don't Doze Art Lab, the place that takes care of the West Coast bias. And this show right here, Locked On Canucks, is the show that gives you your Canucks every day. And Trevor just got kicked out. Again, I made the joke off the top that after this episode, Trevor's never going to get a media pass again. Because we have to talk about Francesco Aquilini, right? The owner of the Vancouver Canucks, supposedly the 31st best owner, the 31st best owner in hockey, according to a blog. And today we're going to go over, right? Can we win with this guy? Supposedly the co-GM of the Vancouver Canucks as well. And I think we got Trevor Beggs. He didn't get assassinated. I thought Aquilini took you out that quick. Trevor Beggs, man, what's going on? What are we doing on today's episode, man? This is something else, man. I already told the people that we're talking about the question, can we win with Captain Aquilini? And I'm gonna get a new security system at the crib because I'm scared to do this episode. I didn't want to do this.
Well, if you watch the video from Blueline Hockey, Kyle, that you shouted out yesterday, talking about what happened with the Aquilinis, Tom Glardy and Ryan Beattie back in the mid 2000s. Aquilini he threatened Tom Glardy while they were taking a piss, allegedly. So if he's threatening a guy at the urinal, who knows what he's going to do to us here at Locked On Canucks. But, today there was a recent NHL owner rankings from The Athletic. It took into account fan comments, and it took into account The Athletic and their rankings of owners as well, based on a few categories. And they had the Vancouver Canucks and Francesco Aquilini as the 31st best owner in the NHL, a.k.a. the second worst owner in the NHL. So does Aquilini deserve to be there? And how could have things have been different under Tom Glardy, who was, a little ahead of Francesco Aquilini on the NHL owner rankings? I'll also get into some news and notes regarding the St. Louis Blues games, and more importantly, the road trip in general. I like to call it Desperate Housewives Vancouver Canucks edition, because they're about to play some of the most desperate teams in the NHL. But speaking of desperate, I think that's a word you could use to describe Francesco Aquilini, because the guy has been nothing but desperate to make the playoffs for your Vancouver Canucks. And that mentality has damaged this team and the reputation of this team over the past 10 years. And again, I think when you look back at the backstory for Francesco Aquilini, it's, for those who don't know, I'll try to sum it up quickly. But Francesco Aquilini, Tom Glardy, and Ryan Beattie, three wealthy businessmen in Vancouver, were in an agreement, a partnership to buy the Canucks back in 2004. The deal fell through. Aquilini stepped out right before the deal fell through. They were negotiating with John McCann and Stan McCammon for a year. And then after the deal fell through, Francesco Aquilini swooped in and purchased the Vancouver Canucks. It went to court. Aquilini had a lot of interesting testimony, basically saying he doesn't recall certain things, and he deleted things from his calendar, and couldn't prove a lot of conversations that were being, alleged by Glardy and Beattie. But at the end of the day, the court ruled in favor of Aquilini because there wasn't a legitimate, legally binding document that the three of them were in a partnership together. So they gave the Canucks to Aquilini, and man, oh man, could things have been different for your Vancouver Canucks? Because, of course, the guy that could have purchased the Canucks, Tom Glardy, went on to purchase the Dallas Stars. And at the time when he purchased the Dallas Stars, they'd missed the playoffs in 3 or 4 seasons. They've gone on, since he purchased the team in November of 2011, to be one of the best teams in the NHL, despite the
Okay.
fact that they haven't won a cup in that time.
Mm-hmm.
He's done a masterful job getting a guy like Jim Nill in place to build a team that can contend for the Stanley Cup on a year-to-year basis. So, Kyle, do you think, I'll just ask you straight up, would the Canucks have won a cup with Tom Glardy at the fold over Francesco Aquilini?
What type of question is that? We were 1 win away from winning a cup with Francesco Aquilini. Like, we have to remember that. There's definitely a lot of truth there. And yeah, I know Henrik and Daniel were already drafted, right? Maybe Aquilini didn't have I'm not gonna say the power because he was the owner, like when in 2004, 2005. So he was the owner when the Luongo trade was made, but maybe he didn't, he wanted to wait a bit before he started meddling and playing EA Sports NHL 2007 with the team, So Nonis made the Luongo trade. Yeah, maybe the pieces were there. Ryan Kessler was already drafted, right? So I know he got help getting the team to that Game 7 spot in 2011 in the Stanley Cup Finals. But this guy was the owner when we were 1 win away. We are up 2-0 in that series. Like, it's crazy how much, obviously, it being the Stanley Cup Finals in Vancouver, but there's just so many narratives that could have been written differently. If that Canucks team with that management group, that ownership group, and that player group won one more game. But all in all, though, like, I'm just curious because I didn't know, Trevor. I didn't know it was The Athletic that wrote this article or did this study. I thought it was Nuck's misconduct. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Okay, no, straight up, I didn't know. So, like, what are they saying against Aquilini? Because I know I've heard of all the other stuff, and whether it be like the stuff away from the rink or just even his stuff as the co-GM of the Vancouver Canucks. If you didn't know, he's the co-GM. He kept Brock Besser around. What's the report saying? Because I'm shocked. This guy spends to the salary cap every year. I know we don't have the new seats in yet, but it's not like he's the cheapest owner. Like, what's going on here?
All right, so I'll pull up the card here from The Athletic in terms of how they rate the owners. So, they basically rate it in a couple of categories. There's fan scores, there's scores from The Athletic, but the four main categories, and this is for the fan base evaluation, is willingness to spend, organizational stability, treatment of the fan base, and franchise vision. And willingness to spend is interesting because it's down at 3.93%. Now, the Canucks have been a team that has traditionally spent to the cap every year, so that one is a little bit surprising. But when you start to dig in terms of what's going on around the rink, one story that doesn't get talked about because it's not very sexy is the fact that the Canucks might have some of the worst ice in the NHL. And apparently that's been, not wanting to buy like a new humidifying system at Rogers Arena for years and years now. So I think that's an example of Aquilini maybe being a little on the cheaper side. And Kyle, there was one, interesting quote from that Blueline Hockey piece as well, where Aquilini said, we're in this as investors. It's a business.
Oh, no, why you got to bring that up? That's the darkest thing you could ever say to a group of sports fans. When I saw that Blueline Hockey video, again, go check it out. Search Blueline Hockey on YouTube, or even just read the book or just the reports and the articles surrounding your Vancouver Canucks. And I'm pretty sure this whole ordeal or this whole situation when Aquilini bought the team is, well documented. And again, you can research yourself. But that quote about him, and I don't know if I'm even paraphrasing, but the energy that he gave me is like, it's a great idea for a businessman to buy the Vancouver Canucks because you can make money. We're addicted to hockey. We're not going anywhere. At that point, no cup in 30 years, and we're still, selling out. You know what I'm saying? We never even had a number one defenseman in 30 years. We play in Canada, but you know what? Take my money. As a businessman, this is a great deal. It was such a great deal that he was willing to backstab his friends, supposedly, allegedly. Trevor, allegedly. Let's keep saying that throughout the whole episode, okay? Can we change the title to allegedly? Allegedly. Okay. Anyways, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, the whole he views this as a business thing, and that makes me think about playoff revenue, man. And I know based on what I know, and maybe you know more, maybe it's changed. Like, yeah, teams, don't get me wrong, they make money during the first round of the playoffs, but I feel like there's still some revenue splitting going on there, more so than other rounds. But the team really makes money when it gets, to the second round of the playoffs, and the third and the fourth, boom, bam. But money adds up. Like, we're talking about Vancouver being expensive, those tickets being expensive. Again, these guys put us through a roller coaster, a traumalicious type of year. They raised the season ticket prices up a couple of percentage points, right? Even though that's not fair, but they did it. And what do you know? Like, mother effers are renewing. They're making money. And yeah, in the first round of the playoffs, even though you don't get to keep all of it, I'm sure Aquilini makes millions.
Yeah, I think the estimate is $1 million to $2 million per game, right? And
That's
Again,
a lot of money. That's a lot of
yeah.
money. Even if we're a billionaire, like that's a lot of to make $1 million in a day. Come on, Trevor. What other industry can you be a part of that does that for you? And businessmen, like they probably salivate at the opportunity of doing that. At one point, it's something to brag about. Like, yo, I just made $2 million in 4 hours. Or, it's a whole day operation in 12 hours. That's crazy, man. So yeah, I don't know. That part scared me. And I get the NHL is a business, but I'm here to win a championship. I want that mindset, I don't want to hear in your little thesis about owning the team. I don't want any part of that being about your personal business goals. Okay, what about my goals? Because it's not the Aquilini Canucks, it's the Vancouver Canucks. And I think the price you pay as a sports owner when you buy a city, aka you buy the name, right? One of the main representatives of the city is like the sports teams. Like you gotta get your ego out the door and save it for the group chat, okay? All these talks about the money.
Yeah, unfortunately, guys in Aquilini's position, they tend to have big egos. And Kyle, to your point, this mentality of the Aquilini regime, and is why I think it's the primary reason why he's voted as the second worst owner in the NHL, has been this constant chase for playoff revenue, constant chase for dollars as a billionaire. Kyle, like you said, that's $1 million is still a lot for a billionaire. The Aquilini family, as of a couple of years ago, was worth $3 billion. What would help his legacy would actually be bringing a Stanley Cup to Vancouver, not just chasing playoff revenue year after year. But willingness to spend, again, bottom 10, that was a bit surprising. But organizational stability voted 30th in the NHL. Treatment of the fan base, and this is just not being upfront with the fan base, voted as 31st in the NHL, and franchise vision 23rd. And again, the franchise vision, it's self-explanatory. It's that low because this Canucks team has seemed to be more preoccupied with building a playoff team, this Stanley Cup contender, and they failed. And they failed on that front, and it's another reason why Aquilini is that far down the list. Since he took over in 2005, the Canucks have been the 23rd best team in the regular season. They ranked 20th in playoff wins. So this mentality to, just build a team that's good enough to make the playoffs hasn't worked. And, one of the main reasons he ended up this low is, and here's a quote from a fan, because I think it sums it up perfectly. He says, "If I could erase the 8 years of betting hell that Aquilini directly caused, this would be a very different survey, as Mike Gillis took us to the finals and Jim Rutherford is killing it. But alas, those scars run too deep." And again, Jim Benning, that tenure, even in the article, and I agree with it, it was touted as one of the worst tenures in NHL history by an NHL general manager. I mean, Jim Benning absolutely wrecked this team. And Aquilini got his guy that was going to push for the playoffs, failed spectacularly, and lucked into guys like Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes. That was not planned. This is a team that was always trying to push for the playoffs, and they just failed time and time again. So in terms of, are the Canucks ever going to win with Aquilini? Look, I believe they can because they almost did. Aquilini at the time hired the right guy in Mike Gillis. He made a terrible mistake with betting. That went on for far too long. But there's more belief now in Jim Rutherford and Patrick Allvin at the helm, despite some pessimism towards them over the past month and how they handled the trade deadline. But the Canucks are in a better spot than they were in Jim Benning, but that's still a very low bar. And again, Kyle, the bar in this market has to be raised to a team that competes for the Stanley Cup every year and are doing the things that constitute with competing for the Stanley Cup, much like Tom Glardy's doing in Dallas, who, by the way, he was voted as the 4th best owner in the NHL.
Wow. Trevor Glardy, hey, is your uncle or something or what? Crazy, man. Crazy. No, okay, so, can we win with them? Of course we can. We got Quinn Hughes. I think Quinn Hughes can fix everything, okay? In fact, he can make us fall in love with the owner, okay? Because championships and winning fixes everything. Even on that note, what did I say last year? Like, I was like, oh, thank you, Aquilini. Because I felt as if it was expensive to pay for Rutherford and Allvin and Rick Tocchet, But we'll see, the whole notion that the fan base thinks he's cheap. Let's see if he ponies up and wants to pay for Rick Tocchet. Okay? Real talk. It maybe let's see in the summer. Like maybe he's not convinced that Pettersson's 11.6 worthy, right? And he wants to let him go. Crazy, man. Crazy times. But the whole like meddling situation and like the trade deadline stuff, again, I keep saying that Aquilini had a large part to do with that. And the more and more I learn about money and making money, I just feel like the playoff revenue, even if it's first round playoff revenue to a guy like this, it really matters. And maybe it's a flex thing again, because in no other business can you just make that much money in a couple of hours, unless like you're the best at Forex in the world. Anyways, let's read one comment before we get to the other side. Hans Dryden saying that you can't force Aquilini to sell. I'm not sure what the purpose of this conversation is. Hey, email Kyle Bowen at postitup.ca with your resume. Produce the show. Okay, Trevor Beggs, let's get to break.
Yeah, I think my last comment on that, and I was thinking about this on the drive here. If the Canucks ever got to, the bottom of the standings again for whatever reason, I do wonder if that would be a trigger point to sell, because Aquilini bought this team for around $250 to $300 million, and they're now worth over $1 billion. He's made his money on this team. I wonder if some point, if they start to get, down in the dumps of the NHL, if he does consider selling. But again, let's hope that the Canucks never get there.
Some fans want to win the Stanley Cup, Trevor. I know you want Aquilini to sell, but let's put your dreams in order here, okay? Come on, Trevor. You need to drink some water, man.
Amen to that, brother. Okay, on the other side, let's talk about the game day notes and the road trip ahead for your Vancouver Canucks. That's on the other side after we hear from our friends at Locked On Senators, Ross Leviton and Bear Mattress.
Did you know getting a good night's sleep is the #1 recipe for long-term success in life? I didn't. It took me way longer to realize than I'd like to admit. It was years of tossing and turning. I was always tired. I never felt like I could live up to my potential, but not anymore. Thanks to Bear Mattress. I used their sleep quiz and I matched with the Elite Hybrid. It's perfect for side sleepers like me. Now I wake up energized. I'm getting deeper sleeps and I'm ready to attack the day. No matter how you sleep, Bear Mattress has a match for you with a focus on recovery, cooling, and pressure relief to upgrade your sleep and improve your overall quality of life. Go to bearmattress.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL at checkout for 40% off site-wide. This offer is not available anywhere else. You have to use my promo code on the very last page of checkout to get this discount. That's bearmattress.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 40% off site-wide. Bearmattress.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL.
Okay, we back doing this, and that's risking our lives for the people. No, Trevor, you can't make that stuff up. What are the chances? Like, we haven't lagged in a long time. We haven't lagged since 2023 like that. We named a title after Aquilini, and I actually thought you got shot in the first 20 seconds of this episode because you just disappeared. You lagged. Again, Aquilini, we just a voice, man. That's what hey man, you love the city. I love the city too. And Trevor, you touched on the whole betting thing and the distaste that some people still have for him keeping betting around for 8 years. Again, like, I know, oh my God, we playing the St. Louis Blues today. Relax, guys, just talk about hockey. No, like I don't give a. I talk to Trevor about whatever I want. Like, keeping betting for 8 years is a testament to how cheap you are. No, just straight up, because I guarantee only the best of the best could have fixed Benning's mess. And Rutherford, like I said, to force him out of retirement, it wasn't cheap. That guy knows his worth. Have you ever talked to Rutherford? I haven't, but he feels like my grandpa. I've never met my grandpa. Okay, never met both my grandpas. Where am I going with this? Yeah, I think he kept betting for 8 years because he didn't want to spend more money on a GM. And again, Benning was a good puppet as well. Get me that first round revenue. Yeah. Benning could attempt to do that because he didn't really do that at all.
No, he did not.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the Canucks under Patrick Allvin and Jim Rutherford look like they might be on the cusp of making the playoffs in back-to-back seasons if the Canucks can do not the improbable, but be better than the Utah Jazz, be better than the St. Louis Blues who they played tonight, and be better than the Calgary Flames. Tonight, huge game. And here's some of the notes from the game day skate today. Connor Garland was a full participant at practice today. Skated on what was, I guess, the fourth line of practice with Joshua and Nils Amon. I guess Rick Tocchet didn't want to break up O'Connor, Bluger, and Carlson, and DeBrusk, Suter, and Sherwood after some pretty good games from those lines as well. So it's Joshua, Amon, and Garland at practice together. It's still Garland is still a game time decision apparently. But if he does draw, and it looks like Jonathan Lecker-Mackey is the odd man out, which is a little disappointing because he looked pretty good on the power play there. I think, more effective than Garland on the power play there. But also, Linus Karlsson was one of the best Canucks in the last night's game too. So it's like, who do you take out of the lineup? Drew O'Connor also scored a goal. Maybe it'll be Nils Amon coming out, but then you're kind of lacking a centerman. So tough decisions for the Vancouver Canucks, but that's how things are shaking up with the lines right now. Other updates include Thatcher Demko backing up Kevin Lankinen tonight. He's been back at practice for a little bit, and now he's going to be playing the backup role. So looks like it's not going to be too long until we see Thatcher Demko again, which is a great sign for Canucks fans. And then one of the last updates, this one not so great. Philip Hedl did not join the Canucks on this current road trip here.
Yeah, the last one sucks. Get well soon, Philip Hedl. We already talked about, again, the Canucks' worst nightmare potentially coming true via, again, concussions and Philip Hedl. Really happy that Demko's the backup. Just to potentially see him play on Saturday. I'm making that prediction, okay? Saturday morning, Shesterkin versus Demko. Demko versus Miller. I don't know. Just something tells me like he's gonna get that 10 a.m. start. Okay, and we need Demko. We need Demko. We need all the points we can get. And I guess Demko coming off an injury is a lot better than Archer Shilov's. Okay, but the whole Garland thing and the Lecker-Mackey thing. Yeah, of course, I'm a little bit disappointed that we won't see more Lecker-Mackey on the power play. Like, even if he's used more as a specialty player, as opposed to like in every every shift type of player. Like, I know we're in critical times right now, and you don't want to really bring in specialty players. It just would have struck a curiosity. Okay, I want to see the power play with Lecker-Mackey, more of a shoot first mentality on the left half wall. Okay, Garland doesn't give you that. Okay, all in all, though, you said it, man. Linus Karlsson played a heavy game a couple days ago against a big team. So did Nils Amon. Nils Amon, he's strung together a couple of good games. Tocchet really loves himself Nils Amon. Okay, talks highly of him. And those two players just, I don't know, they feel more, I'm not going to say Tocchet types, but more, and NHL ready is the wrong word, because I think Lecker-Mackey's kind of there, but St. Louis is one of those teams, like if we were playing, if maybe like Lecker-Mackey plays against the Rangers, or maybe he plays against Seattle or something, but St. Louis just seems a little bit heavy, and I'm not surprised at this move, and I hope it doesn't bite Tocchet up the ass, though, because sometimes I feel like he overthinks a lot of situations, and it doesn't, like, he says a lot of things about how he wants, like, his team to play more flowy and more offensive and just take it and attack. And then it's like, you don't hesitate at dressing, like, Ilya Mikheyev and Sam Lafferty in your top six. Right? And, like, you don't want to give Hoagland, it takes you a while to give Niels Höglander a chance. It's like, I want to see some more instinct in the lineup. And Lecker-Mackey was on fire prior to the call up. And I wanted to tap into that a bit,
Yeah. No, it's a little unfortunate that he's on the lineup. I see your point, Kyle. The Blues, a bit of a heavier team overall.
Yeah.
Also a team that has just not messed with their lineup at all. This is the 15th straight game that they've gone with the exact same forward lineup. And it kind of makes sense. I mean, look, I saw a comment here, and I'll bring it up later about, what's the New York Rangers record since the JT Miller trade? Well, I'll tell you this. The St. Louis Blues have the second best record in the NHL since the JT Miller trade, aka since February 1st. They are 11-3-3 overall. So the Blues have been hot. They've been rolling. Their top players, they're performing. Like, this is not going to be an easy game for the Vancouver Canucks. And for the St. Louis Blues, I think probably one of the worst games they played in 2025 was that last game against the Vancouver Canucks when they lost 5-2 in one of JT Miller's last games with the team. So, look, this is not going to be an easy game tonight, and it's not going to be an easy road trip overall, Kyle. But if there's one place to get the Blues tonight, I will say this. It's on the penalty kill. They have not had a great penalty kill. It's been better of late. But since January 1st, at 72%, at 77% since February 1st. They are rolling on the power play, 30.8% since February 1st. But thankfully, the Vancouver Canucks, 92.5% on the penalty kill since February 1st. By far the best mark in the NHL. So special teams battle is going to be interesting tonight. And I think the other main thing to watch is, can Pettersson and Besser do it again? Not just tonight, but throughout the road trip. And I know we'll touch more on the road trip. Some of your comments on the other side. But yeah, like you said, Kyle, Pettersson and Besser, they look so good against the Winnipeg Jets. A little bit of puck luck there, of course, but they looked like they were playing faster with speed. It looks like they had chemistry with Nils Höglander. If that trio can emerge as a number one line, there's a lot to like about the Canucks, both tonight and on this upcoming road trip.
Yeah, no, 100%. And just to grab a a Lecker Mackey point off of the spiel that you just went on about Besser and Pedersen. Like, I know in recent history, I mean, I think the Canucks have scored over 5 goals in 2 of their last 3 games. But yeah, outside of that, like, dude, we've been struggling to score goals, and that's why I want to see more Lecker Mackey. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess my point would be, talk it, relax. Okay, you got Pedersen, Hronek, another Pedersen. You got Tyler Myers. You got Quinn Hughes. You got Derek Forbert playing defense. Like, your defense has been pretty strong all year, and I know a lot of your defense or defensive play in general is built off of your forwards coming back and playing really strong defensively. Okay, and maybe you want them all to be big too, but dude, Lecker Mackey is good as a two-way forward, and he delivers more high-end punch. I want to see that. I really do. Because if it's not coming from Pedersen and Besser, and collectively speaking, I mean, Besser played good 1 game in a long time. Pedersen's picked up points, but I don't know, in his last 3 games, he wasn't as good as the previous 3. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know he scored a good goal against Chicago, but it took him 45 minutes to warm up. I'm just a Canucks fan right now, where it's like, the more offense, the better. The more playmaking, the better. And I know it's the NHL and the AHL are completely different things, but yo, look at Lecker Mackey's highlights in the AHL this year. This guy was on fire prior to being called up, and I want to see a little bit of that. But maybe at the same time, like, without Hedel, they don't have a centerman to really put him with too, kind of like feed off of, right? And this is like, I don't know. This is what you can build with what you have, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting. Really, the only center that makes sense for Lecker Mackey right now would be Pedersen, right? You just don't really have any other playmaking centers in the lineup right now, and that is a problem for the Vancouver Canucks. But again, Lecker Mackey not in the lineup tonight by the looks of it. If Connor Garland's good to go, and good to have Connor Garland back in general. He's been an absolute dog for this team. Can the Canucks be dogs on this road trip? How many dogs do we got in the comments? Let's get to that on the other side after we shout out our friends over at FanDuel. All right, March Madness is here. The NHL playoff push is also here, and FanDuel is giving you a chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters or Cinderella stories, or even who's going to score for your Vancouver Canucks. Of course, yeah, you could bet on individual goal scores for the Vancouver Canucks. In terms of the game tonight, the Vancouver Canucks, they are underdogs against the St. Louis Blues, plus 120 on the money line. St. Louis Blues minus 144. So if you like the Canucks tonight, some good value there. But whether you're betting on the Canucks, March Madness, or whatever it is, make sure you go visit FanDuel.com to get in on the action, baby.
Boom, bam, shout out to FanDuel. Okay, we back doing this with the second best dad in the world and the Findu that loves the Vancouver Canucks, and the Don't Those Art Lab that gives you that West Coast bias, and Locked On Canucks, the place that gives you your Canucks every day. On that note, please do us a favor if you're watching it right now. Hit the like button, okay? And leave us a 5-star review. You don't know how much that means to us. And like I said, man, Trevor Beggs no longer going to be allowed in that media booth. I'm sorry, Trevor. This is the risk we're taking. Man. Put an Aquilini in a YouTube title. YouTube's owned by Google. You don't think this guy gets the notification? Okay, so we're on. I'm scared to go. I just got invited to go to Mount Pleasant tonight to go visit another studio. I'm scared to go to downtown tonight. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, man, oh man, risking our lives here for the people on Locked On Canucks. But hey, it's all good, man, because we love what we do, baby. Look, we got a 6-game road trip coming up for the Vancouver Canucks, and it's not going to be an easy one. But I would argue that the toughest test tonight might be against the St. Louis Blues, who, again, are the second hottest team in the NHL since February 1st. Only the Tampa Bay Lightning have been better by points percentage. Ooh. And again, this is Desperate Housewives Vancouver Canucks edition, because look at the teams coming up on this road trip. The Blues, the Rangers, the Devils, the Islanders, the Blue Jackets, and the Jets. 4 of those 6 teams are fighting for their playoff lives, and those are the Blues, Rangers, Islanders, and Blue Jackets. The Winnipeg Jets not as much to play for, although they probably want to look a little better against the Vancouver Canucks than they did at Rogers Arena 2 nights ago. And the New Jersey Devils trying to prove that they're still a playoff contender even without Jack Hughes. So There are no easy games on this road trip, Kyle. And again, when you're playing desperate teams, the Canucks have to match that desperation, meet pressure with pressure, if you will.
Yep.
But again, when I talk about the toughest test being the St. Louis Blues, again, second best team since February 1st. For the commentator who asked, the New York Rangers are 17th in the NHL since the JT Miller trade, which is is that better than Vancouver Canucks? The Vancouver Canucks are slightly better than the New York Rangers, but not by much since February 1st. In terms of other teams who performed since February 1st, the Winnipeg Jets have been the fourth best team. The Columbus Blue Jackets have been the third worst team. They've been on a bit of a slide lately. The New York Islanders, they've been middle of the pack, and same with the New Jersey Devils as well. So again, you get some teams who have been kind of up and down, but today against the St. Louis Blues is the biggest matchup. It is the team that is tied with the Canucks in the standings. I saw a stat from Money Puck that the Canucks, there's almost like a 24% swing in their playoff odds tonight, where if they win or lose in regulation.
Who cares about this damn money puck bullshit percentage thing that we keep bringing up? Who cares? We're not going to find out for a while. I don't care about the 24% swing, boom, bam, do the analytical math. The sports, it's life. Trevor, just put away the damn calculator, okay? Drink some water. I keep saying this, man. Be instinctual. Jeez Louise, man. If the Canucks lose tonight, there's a 24% less chance that we'll make the play. Bro, end of the day. It's taken us a while to do this, but bro, this is the biggest game of my life tonight. It really is. Another four. Why you keep laughing, man? I live in the moment, dude. Like, Trevor, you don't take me seriously. There's gonna be a problem, bro. I'm telling you, man. Okay, I live in the moment. I'm Deepak Chopra, and if that's the case, and the Canucks haven't won a Stanley Cup ever, this is the biggest game of my life. It's a 4-point game. It's against the hottest team in hockey, or one of them. This team, a lot of people, I would say disrespect St. Louis when it comes to their talent level, and I kind of get it, but compared to who they're competing with in the West, and considering that they have Jordan Binnington, I know we hate to say this, but Team Canada elite goaltender, right? They're a good team. We can't just openly say we're better than the St. Louis Blues. Yeah, we have Quinn Hughes, but yeah, this team's good. So it's going to be a dogfight tonight, an absolute dogfight. I'm going to be nervous the whole time. And I'm excited for my people, man. I'm excited for my people to witness a win, but also get home early because this game starts at 4:30, and just feel something in their soul and their spirit prior to this game. Because, again, meaningful games in March, they're not the goal. It's not the goal, Thomas Drance, I know. But they matter. I'm having fun tonight. This is cool. For the third straight day, Trevor, you touched on this, right? It's been so long since the Canucks had to, get to the very end of the season to see if they're going to make the playoffs or not. And that's what it feels like right now. And every game kind of feels like a game 5 or a game 7. It's cool.
Yeah, it's, again, an unfamiliar territory for Canucks fans. It's been a long time since we were in the position. Has it been 20 years, Kyle? That's kind of what it feels like, right? Yeah. Since the Canucks have been in this fight and then actually went on to make the playoffs. Yeah. Because they've been in this fight since then and they missed the playoffs. Let's hope it's a little different this time around. And I think one of the last points about this game, and again, throughout the road trip, is the top players got to step up. We know Quinn Hughes is going to be that guy. We know the Canucks are going to be, fairly stout defensively. They got a good penalty kill, but the top guys need to step up. And even right now, when I'm looking at the St. Louis Blues, since February 1st, their top 6 scorers are all of their top 6 wingers: Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, Dylan Holloway, Pavel Buchnevich, Braden Shen, and Jake Neighbors. All of them either above or near a point per game over their last 17 games. And we know with the Vancouver Canucks, it has not been the same. The Canucks' top scorer now since February 1st is Pius Suter in terms of the forward. So, we need more from Besser. We need more from Pettersson, or at least keep doing what you were doing in the last game. And if they do that, the Canucks are going to be A-okay. Another guy I would look forward to potentially, not to say bust out of a slump, because it's not like he's played poorly, but Kiefer Sherwood has just 1 goal in his past 17 games. But nice to see him light the lamp tonight for the Canucks in a big way tonight, much like he was doing earlier on in the season.
Man, oh man. Okay, so my only guarantee with individual players pulling through tonight, go with Quinn Hughes. I think there's a 100% chance that he picks up 3 points tonight. I think he's going to be damn good. Again, I just watched the film of what Quinn Hughes did in Winnipeg. The guy looked perfect. Now, Pettersson. I've been hard on Pettersson the whole year. I've been a bully to Pettersson. I also saved his career. Quote unquote. That's not what I didn't say that. Other people said that. Look at the math. Look at Locked On Canucks history, the tendonitis report, the good karma, boom, bam. That being said, points in every game in his last 5. In his last 3, I don't think they've been his best games. For the whole game, be a factor. That's how you make this a little bit easier. We're playing against St. Louis, not the greatest team on paper, but they're on fire and they're coming for your neck. And the Canucks don't want to lose 2 games in 1 week where they give up points to teams that are chasing them. The good teams don't do that. You got to be clinical here and execute and make things happen. So Patterson, another guy that I'm predicting to have 2 points tonight. And go Canucks, go. Okay, but before we leave, because we're about to leave, I got to read this comment, okay? And this comes from Supersonic Style, bro. If you're gonna have a name called Supersonic Style, like why do you call yourself that? What are you rocking? Anyways, he's saying, seriously, how can Aquilini get thrown out as an owner? I've said this many times, man. I'm a future children's book writer. I've already written a children's book. I'm trying to sell 1 billion copies, right? 1 billion copies. If I sell each book for $25, if we keep it all local, you know what I'm saying? Like if you keep the business small, right? No, don't sign a deal with no distributor. Right? Just keep it low, keep it self-produced. That would give me about, after all the costs and whatnot, about at least, what, $8 to $9 billion? And you said the Canucks are worth $1 billion? I will pay $5 billion for the Canucks. Aquilini cannot say, why? Yeah, that's what I'm going to do for the city, because this city deserves an owner that doesn't give up about their wallet when purchasing the Vancouver Canucks. Oh, but that's not strong business. That's not smart business. Screw business. Why is everyone an accountant these days? Okay, I just want to win the Stanley Cup, so I'll help the city out. Don't worry.
Let's go win it.
$5 million. Trevor's a financial advisor too. So once I make my first $4 million, I'm pretty sure Trevor's deal is like, if I have $4 million and I work with Trevor, he can turn that $4 million into $5 billion in a couple of months. So call Trevor.
Easy peasy, buddy. And my last note before the game tonight, Kevin Lankinen, who looks like he's getting the start tonight. He is 3-0 against the St. Louis Blues in his career. We know he's better on the road this season as well. 15-5-3 for your Vancouver Canucks in 2024-25. He's also got 3 blanks as well. So let's see Kevin Lankinen have another great game tonight. And shout out to you and you for listening to Locked On Canucks. Shout out to Supersonic Style. Shout out to Caleb Samdu. Shout out to David W. Shout out to all the commenters, Gigatronic, Jax, all of you beauties. Thanks for tuning into Locked On Canucks. If you like what we're doing, go subscribe and like on YouTube on the podcast side. Go follow us and leave a 5-star review. But for now, we got to get out of here. I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy is Kyle Bowen. And you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.